Well, we're finally here. After 4 months of work, I'm finally done with my final major, ready to break off for the summer until next term. Now, despite being finished off with the box project, it doesn't mean that I haven't stopped being mindful or productive with some of the college projects I'll be doing after the summer. I've already been thinking ahead of the next 2 college assignments that I'll be doing. One of them is a commercial project, but the other one is the project that this video series is going to be focused on. So, welcome to part 1 of making a music video. Now, to start off with, last term, I was actually involved of creating a music video. I was heavily involved with creating the storyboards, and I even took a major part of doing the editing. And that video actually did get quite the good mark. And even looking back on it now, I'm still rather chuffed and pleased by it, as I do think it really did help into maturing some of my filming skills plus editing. But however, once we wrapped up, I noticed a common theme with our music project and a lot of the other music projects as well, being done by the other students, where most of them seem to be about a love story. Now, I'm not saying that I'm against love stories for a music video, but I just couldn't help but seeing the amount of other student films focusing on a love story and being filmed in an everyday sort of place. It just felt kind of redundant. So I felt determined where if I was to do another music project, then it would have to be something different, something otherworldly, something alien, if you say. Now, my last music video did have a flair of experimental bits, such as having 2 of the same people on screen at the same time, as a way to reflect on the passage of time. Now, what we did was fine for the context of the music video, but if I really wanted to really sink my teeth into doing something far more experimental, then I needed to choose a much more different genre of music. Something with a different feel. But before we got to that stage, we actually had to find some music. But we had to find it in a very strict way. You see, from the requirement of the examiner, we had to find a music artist and add his or her permission to use their music. So no chance of casually asking a really big and famous millionaire of a musician. Oh, and it also had to be somebody that we didn't really know, such as we couldn't really ask a friend or mate if we could use their music. I think the reason why for that specific requirement is probably to get us used to contacting random people in the industry. Now, after a while of thinking, there was one music artist that I could think of that would be relatively easy to contact. At least I found a way to contact him directly. And that music artist was Nabil Shaban. Apologies to Nabil if I'm pronouncing his last name wrong. But anyway, Nabil's a stage actor, scriptwriter for well over 40 years. And he's done a handful of movies and a ton of TV roles, but probably his most famous role that Nabil has ever done is playing the Doctor Who villain Sil in the 1945 Doctor Who serial Vengeance on Varos. Then reprising his role yet again the following year in Trial of the Time Lord, and also playing Sil again in several audio stories. Sorry for going off for a little bit. Sorry, I'm just a major Doctor Who geek. But anyway, getting back to the topic, he has also been a music artist, doing several tracks. So I prepared an email to send to him, and if I have to be honest, the whole experience was a bit nervous for me of contacting a veteran Doctor Who actor. Whew, I know, I'm really sad, aren't I? But anyway, the following day he got back to me, and excitingly, he allowed me access to his music library. So thank you so much, Nabil, if you are watching this. But anyway, moving on. Given that I had a whole library to work with, there was one particular track that I really wanted to use, and it's called So You Want to Meet an Alien. This track was originally created back in 1997 for a documentary Nabil did for the BBC called The Alien Who Lived in the Sheds, and even created his own music video to go alongside with the documentary. The music video had a flair of inspiration from the famous black and white alien autopsy that supposedly was related to the Roswell crash. Make of it what you will. But anyway, the The decade that this music was releasing was back in the 90s. The 90s was quite the pop culture era for sci-fi, not just as in terms of movies, but it was also the decade of numerous of UFO sightings, crop circles, and like I said before, of the infamous alien autopsy, as it was released in that decade. I'm planning to make the music video somewhat of a loving tribute to all the sci-fi shows or movies that came out of either during or before the 90s. I'm also planning to make the music video into a stop motion video as well, not only as a further love letter of some of the special effects to the old classic sci-fis, but also giving me the opportunity to do visuals that would be somewhat impractical and impossible to do with live action actors. And I'm also planning to use action figures from various sci-fi franchises as a further love letter of the nostalgic feeling of collecting action figures from some of our favourite franchises from when we were younger, or possibly even older, as you do get a lot of adult geeks collecting merchandise.